welcome to another episode of the Pixelated Sausage Show. Hi. Hi. How are you? I am, of course, your host, Mark Krishnez, recording another episode super late in the day in the recording process, in the I need to get this out later today process. It is currently 8:41 in the AM on Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. It's been a time. I've been doing a lot of optimization over the past few days and change, getting things into order. Into order sounds weird. I did not like that. After that came out of my mouth, I was like, ugh, maybe I should just restart this entire show because that made me feel disgusting, even though it's not a big deal. But I've been doing what I can to continue the process of having it so there is nothing that will be a distraction to me. I won't be thinking about this thing or that thing, as non-essential as it is. I've been doing a lot of, and I've mentioned this a few times directly with my friends, if they want to be considered that. This is my negative way of looking at myself again. But I've been doing a lot of burn this all to the ground with my life, where I'm trying to get rid of things as much as possible, and I'm just giving things to people. I'm like, here, you want this? How about this? You want this? You want this? And when they say, how much you want for it? Radio silence. I'll take whatever they want to give me, but I ain't gonna push anything. I've said this before. Horrible at valuing things when dealing with friends, because I just look at it as, hey, we're friends. I scratch your back. When you try to scratch mine, I recoil in disgust. But I think I'm about burned out in terms of what there is to get rid of that I would be okay getting rid of and shouldn't regret, or in a more accurate sense, things that I still would need. Because I'm just trying to get rid of everything, have as little clutter as possible. And I have almost completed, I've just about completed to a happy extent, to a I'm good here. I don't need to be concerned about what I'm missing in terms of my Blu-ray collection. There are things I'd still like to get that I don't have, but aren't really a priority or a pressing matter, which isn't including the good, the bad, and the ugly UHD slipcover, which I gave up on months ago because it's just fucking ridiculous. And I ain't paying $100 for a fucking slipcover, and the one regular, why can't I think of the reproduction, the essential copy, the fake, the custom, but exactly as the original, or as close to it as they decided to make it. One, which they sell for $25. I don't know about the quality of the paper stock. And two, I don't like the ways in which it is inaccurate. It does look cheap in very minute ways that probably don't bother a lot of people. That's why a lot of people have been buying them as opposed to getting an official one for 4 times, if not more, the cost of the repro. But there are just a lot of things in terms of the size of certain images or font, or the not aspect ratio, not portions. Oh my god, what am I trying? What is the term? I should know this as an artist and a designer off the top of my head. Not the alignment, but the placement of things and the way in which certain things are not evenly split down the middle. So you have font that is up against one side, and then there is this space on the other side, and that's not the way it's supposed to be, and it looks cheap. It looks fake in that sense. And I ain't paying for shoddy work, repro man. No. And then I saw some other custom ones that are of different artwork that I really like the artwork of, but then I saw one review where the person said the quality of the printing of the art is really high, but the paper stock they use is very low quality, very thin, very flimsy, flimsier than an actual slipcover, and that immediately turned me off. And when that turned me off, I said, you know what? Fuck custom slipcovers. It could be it's a good thing for me to not get into the world of custom slipcovers, because that could be a dangerous hole to fall into. It could be an expensive hole. It could fucking... No. If something doesn't come with a slipcover in the first place, I don't need to give it one. They should have given it one that I could have then paid too much for later down the line if I didn't get one with the original release. But my big get recently was the slipcover for A Few Good Men, which goes for ridiculous prices. But I saw someone put up a listing for a used copy around $18 or something plus shipping with a best offer option. And I always, when I see these and they're not from big sellers and more so individuals, I'll look at the description to get a kind of sense of if there may or may not be a slipcover included, depending on how they word it. And then I'll message them and ask them. And in a handful of cases, there have been sellers who have had the slipcovers. They don't mention it in their listing because what I don't understand is how these people with slipcovers do they not look at any other listing of the thing they're selling to see that, hey, people care about this, or look at sold listings. People will pay more when you have this stupid fucking piece of cardboard, because people, myself being at the top of that list, are fucking stupid. And we like stupid things, and we'll pay for stupid things because we are stupid. I won't pay a crazy amount though for a slipcover. Fuck that shit. Hell no. I will at the most secondhand, after the fact, after a slipcover has gone out of print. Typically, the most I'll pay is what the original MSRP for a Blu-ray was, which is something I don't typically pay in general ever. And that's around like the $30 mark or whatever. But more than that, no. I'd probably go as high as 50 for the good, the bad, and the ugly one, especially now since it is the only UHD specific slipcover I am missing. I'm missing Blu-ray slipcovers, which I don't even know which ones I'm missing. I think any of the ones I'm missing there are Shout Factory releases, and those two can go for ridiculous prices. I don't fucking care. I gave up on trying to complete my Blu-ray collection because whatever, man. And I know I'm missing some of the older Disney ones because I didn't care back then. And when I started buying Disney stuff, I was much younger. Had less money to burn. I know this is all very exciting, but I don't have anything else to talk. I got a few games to talk about, which I'll get to. And I don't think I talked about, I don't remember when the news came out between this episode and the last one, the rumor of a Sony or a PlayStation. We don't need to say Sony, okay? The report may have referred to it as a Sony product, but a handheld PlayStation device that would be remote play only, requiring you to own a PlayStation 5 in order for it to be usable. Device. Did I already say device? But there's apparently a rumor saying that it is very much so happening, and it's going to come out before the PlayStation 5 Pro and something else, or I don't know. And that it is remote play only, no cloud gaming, so no PlayStation Now. Is that what it's still called? I don't know. Well, who cares? And no on-device dedicated gaming. So it's not a Steam Deck equivalent, not a Switch equivalent. It is more in line with a Wii U, but less so because it is remote play and therefore connecting via your router and type of shit. It seems like the dumbest shit in the world. It is Maybelline. Maybe it's Maybelline. But if it's not Maybelline, maybe it's just fucking stupid as hell. Unless it is $100 max. I think that is the absolute ceiling for a remote play only device if those rumors are to be believed. I can't imagine or understand why it would only be remote play and not also cloud. Maybe because it still doesn't make sense if it's just because they want a device where you don't have to pay an extra subscription fee. Just have that as an option. It doesn't mean you have to pay to have cloud gaming. You can use it as only a remote play device if you want, but also having it have the option to do cloud gaming. Why the fuck would you not do that? The rumors are all saying, oh, it's this. And you say it's that, but that sounds fucking stupid as hell. I don't understand it. Remote play, in my experience, on either platform, Xbox or PlayStation, hasn't been great. I have a decent connection. Doing it, for me, has always had a lot of artifacting, poor compression. The quality, the latency is nowhere near where you would want for most games. Sure, you can get away with turn-based things or less twitchy stuff, but it's still not an ideal experience, so I don't understand it. I hope it's not true, or if it is true, that it is wildly incorrect in terms of what the device will be capable of. But who knows? Who knows? We'll see or not see, in which case it doesn't exist, and that'll be a good thing. There was also some images. Was there gameplay or just a little? There's some stuff about a Persona 3 remake, which is apparently very far out, but we saw some video and a little bit of a Jet Set Radio remake. I never really played any of the Jet Set games, so that's not super exciting for me. But Persona 3, there have been these rumors for a while now. Seeing that footage, I am 100% in, but they better still use the evokers, I think they're called, to shoot themselves in the head to summon their persona. If that is removed from the game, fuck you. Just put the gosh darn PS2 version, not the PSP crap. I don't know. The portable one is probably fine. I prefer the way in which it is done in the PS2 one. And I would like that to be ported as well. I know that's not going to happen. They're not going to put 2 old versions of Persona 3 on new platforms. We're stuck with portable as our only option. But yeah, those are some rumors and shit that happen, that exist. Anywho, so played a few games. And the first one I played, I also been dabbling with streaming again, just testing it out, making sure everything works. Don't know how I feel about it. It's okay, I guess. I'm going to continue dabbling with it, and probably maybe interacting with chat even less than I want to make sure the most important thing for me, if I start streaming again, which I think I do need as a kind of escapism from life and being able to interact with people. However, I wanted to, it's not that I wanted to, I needed to, and it's not even that I needed to, I need to do it myself, is make sure I'm always in control and that I don't let myself get distracted by all the streaming crap when playing the game. I still want the majority of my focus and my attention to be on the game, because that's the most important thing. I don't want to miss anything, whether it's a gameplay element, a visual element, an audio element, a story element. I don't want to miss out on anything because I am paying attention to fucking living large in chat going woof 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 every fucking 5 minutes. Jesus, I don't know why you kept going woof woof woof, buddy. You just kept going woof woof woof. You did it the one time, and I'm like, okay, I get it. We're talking about who let the dogs out. You just kept going and going for like 30 minutes after we stopped talking about who let the dogs out, which wasn't a long conversation. Driving me crazy. If I hear another woof 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 from you, then send me back all the freaking DS games and Switch games I sent you. Woof 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 there. God darn it. Fucking woofy and woofy. But the game I streamed last night was the Library of Babel. And this is a side-scrolling stealth platformer with beautiful, beautiful art that does pose a problem, fantastic animation that doesn't pose a problem, and an incredibly convoluted, complicated, exposition-heavy story with a lot of reading that, if you don't have reading comprehension issues, you may get a lot out of it. It seems like there's a lot there and a lot to take in, and it's well written when you get past. It's decently written. It's not high art or anything, but it's solid writing when you get past some of the ridiculous names of things, because this is taking place in a type of post-apocalyptic world, it would appear, where I don't believe there are any biological life forms left, and everything is an android or robot. What's the difference between those two again? Is android the humanoid version? I can't remember the differentiation. I think so, maybe. But everything is an android. I'll just call them androids, because Google is sponsoring this episode. No, they're not. But you are in this world, and you are one of many. And because everything is mechanical and all that jazz, things have names like B34567H2DSZ44.10, and I'm like, the game throws so much story at you right from the start, and so much text, and so many names and words that are just, they might as well be gibberish for someone who has issues with comprehension, that I checked out of the story very, very, very quickly because I could not compute. I am biological, but my brain is, I don't know what it is. It's not mechanical. It's biological, but it's stupid biological. That's not nice. That's not nice. It's not nice for me to call myself or my fellow reading comprehension people, reading comprehension deficient people, stupid, because we're not stupid. Our brains are wired a little bit different, and that sucks. It's frustrating. It's super frustrating to deal with that stuff on a daily basis. It makes reading harder. And I mean just reading a book harder. It makes a lot of things harder, and it can make you feel dumb, especially when you're not diagnosed when you're younger, and people think you're just not trying, and your English teacher wants to hold you back a grade, even though you're doing so well in all your other classes that you being lazy in this one class doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Maybe there's an underlying issue that's a more important factor, Mrs. Edwards, you fucking bitch. Who's laughing now? Oh, the Library of Babel. I guess it makes sense that there'd be a lot of reading and writing in this game because it's called the fucking Library of Babel. It's all coming. Yeah, I get it. But in terms of the game, like I said, it looks fantastic. It doesn't have. It's not a very colorful game. It's a very muted palette with a lot of earth tones, a lot of leafy greens and browns and colors of that nature. And it looks really, really good. And the animation is fantastic. It is very reminiscent of classic platforming and adventure games like, Out of This World, Another World, the original Prince of Persia, Flashback, and games of that nature, with very, very accurate. I don't want to say accurate animation, even though that they do. They feel organic. It feels more real. But unlike those games, which usually had very delayed input, the latency felt off. You always felt like there was a very noticeable amount of time between input and action that I think was part of design or maybe a technical limitation at the time. But it is a very responsive game, and it feels really, really good. However, going back to the visuals and the issue that they have, despite being very, very beautiful, I love the art direction as well. It has a very, I don't know exactly how to describe it in a word. I was going to say something like, this is just not dystopian. But as good as the visuals are, they get in the way, and because it is a very muted palette with a limited color palette and not a lot of colors and shades to differentiate between what is interactable and what is just part of the background, what is part of the environment, it can be hard at times to realize, to know what is something, for instance, you can walk on top of, can jump on top of, can interact with, and what is just a part of the background and there to look pretty. So there was a time where I saw a platform in the distance and I thought I had to jump to that platform. However, the giant tree branch below it that I thought was in the background was actually what I could walk on, and that platform was in the background and I couldn't interact with that. And there are multiple cases where it's hard to tell what you can interact with and what you can't. And because of the way the animation works and the gameplay works, there are times where you have to be very and not you have to be very deliberate with where you are jumping to grab onto a ledge, pixel wise. So yeah, you have to be somewhat pixel perfect to interact with certain parts of the environment as well. So that does pose a bit of a problem and leads to minute moments of frustration, but it wasn't as problematic as it could be. And overall, the times it was annoying were heavily outweighed by it working well most of the time. And I think it's because of how responsive the game is and because there isn't that traditional expected delay between input and action, so that you felt way more in control of your character as opposed to having that slight disconnect because of the delay. But the majority of the gameplay, once you get out, so you're doing two things mostly, it would seem. A lot of fetch questing, a lot of talking with people, a lot of reading again, and getting these little tasks like getting a fuse for a character so you can open up the shop, and then you'll be able to buy stuff from the shop. Getting some oil for this one guy so he can fix his machine, but then you get the oil and you're like, here's your oil, and he's like, I can't, what, you want me to just dump this? I need something to put it on the oil. I need something to pour it there in a even way that I won't make a mess and won't spill it all over the place. And then you have to, I'm assuming, buy this stupid fucking magic lamp from that shop that you open up with your fuse that costs way too much fucking money, or these kids who really want this Game Bot, which is a Game Boy, of course, and that's at the shop too for way too much fucking money. Why am I going to spend that much money, which is a currency you lose one tick of, one, let's just call them coins. They're like shards. You lose one shard of every time you die, but you can easily regain these because certain shards will respawn when you leave an environment and return. So you could technically farm them if you want, which would take a long time. But why am I going to spend my hard-earned shards, a lot of which you get from chests, which I like because you are a super polite seeming android most of the time, but every time you come across a chest, you fucking open it up and then you kick it down inside. You open it up, kick it on inside, and then you pick up the shards and then you just leave it on inside like a little littering asshole. Fucking at least pick it back up and close it, you son of a biscuit. But why am I going to spend my hard-earned money on these fucking kids? They better... I haven't done it yet because I didn't have enough coin, because I bought the tracker right off the bat because it's super important. They better give me something fucking good for that thing. They better give me something good. There are other instances in these various missions where it says you need something and you look in your inventory. So there's a lot of the adventure game thing of getting items and then using them or combining them to complete tasks and complete objectives. But there are times where it doesn't make sense why I can't do certain things. For instance, I have this robot creature I came in on, or I arrived in this place on, and it stopped functioning and needs a battery. I found a battery, tried using it with it, didn't do a damn thing. And it's because that battery is clearly going to need to be used with the Game Bot. But what? Apparently I'm going to get a different type of battery. But it doesn't make that differentiation. It doesn't make it clear that you need a certain type of battery. There are these cases where it seems like what I'm trying to do should work, and it's not letting me do it, and it's annoying. And there are also things where you can't do anything until you reveal that it's an option via dialogue. I'm not always fond of certain things being locked until you, as the character in the game, realize you can do them. I know that I can do them, so let me do them. But outside of that, the other big gameplay element that may, as I play more, if I play more, that may be the majority of gameplay is the stealth side. And of course, since they describe themselves as a stealth platformer, I'm presuming it's going to be a lot of that. That stuff is super boring, super simplistic, super frustrating and tedious because it's just a lot of waiting and hiding, with the majority of it being, okay, here's an enemy. They're going to walk their path back and forth, never changing from it. And you will have a handful of parts of the environment that you can hide behind that are outlined in white. When you are successfully behind them and hidden, it will, the outline will change to green, and you just crawl between these objects, staying hidden when their back is not turned away, and you just move as you're free to move. And that's it. That's the stealth gameplay. I don't know if you'll eventually get tools. I did find a box I could hide under, but that is the only addition to stealth gameplay I got, and I never used it. So I don't know when that is going to, or if it'll ever be something I need to use, or just something that is there in case you want to use it. But the biggest concern I had, which was the stealth gameplay, turned out to live up to my greatest fears in being not great, because stealth gameplay, as many of us know, is really, really hard to do. And there are only a handful of games that have done it really, really, really well. Plenty of games that are just like, okay. And then in the case of the Library of Babel, it's kind of on the edge of, it's okay, but it's also incredibly simple, and therefore it's not particularly fun, and it just elongates a lot of what you're doing and just makes things take longer than they would otherwise. And then you're doing a lot of running back and forth between switches to activate this and then activate that, and there's an additional disconnect when you open a door right by an enemy and the door just opened, dude. Who opened it? Maybe investigate, do something, change your routine a little bit. Have something that happens in game that makes you not look like a fucking idiot. So, beautiful game where sometimes the visuals can make it hard to read what is part of the world and what isn't. Fantastic animation. A story that is probably interesting if you don't have comprehension issues. And then gameplay that is pretty meh. Not bad, but nothing special and more tedious than anything else. So sadly, I would hold off. I'd wait for a sale if it sounds interesting to you. But what I'd say probably is, if you look into the game, you can maybe watch my stream and you can maybe get a handle of the story. If the story is doing a lot for you, then I'd say it might be worth picking up, because there's a lot there. There's a lot there. You can talk to a lot of people, got dialogue options, all that jazz. So if the world is compelling to you, I think you'll probably you'll be able to deal with some of the ways in which the game itself is lacking. That is the Library of Babel. Played on Xbox. I think it's on pretty much everything. Let me check that real quick for y'all. Library of Babel. Not the Library of Babel. And there's a short story. I don't know if the game is in any way related to the short story because I don't know anything about the short story. It is on, yeah, everything. PlayStation 5, PlayStation. It's on PlayStation, Switch, Xbox, and PC. Wait, it has a Mac. It's on Mac too? Well, there you go, baby. Is it on Mac? I don't know how to tell if something's on Mac on Switch or on Steam. Where does it say that? Oh no, there. It showed Mac via Google, but Steam, I only see the Windows logo. So your mileage may vary. Mac users. So I don't know why anyone Mac users gaming, get out of here. Then the other game I played is Supplice, which is a classic first-person shooter in the vein of your classic games like Doom, Duke Nukem, etc. I guess we're calling them boomer shooters or whatever. But we this is a subgenre of the I was going to say FFPS, of the FPS genre that has become pretty popular over the last 5 or so years, with a lot of games that I can't even think of a single freaking name of them. 'Cause I wouldn't put stuff like Turbo Overkill in this particular space, because this is very much so like it has the visual aesthetic that is ripped from the 90s. It looks great. It looks fantastic. And it plays pretty well. It has controller support. You can play with the controller, but you're going to miss out on the accuracy you would have with the mouse and keyboard, because there is no aim assist of any kind that I was aware of when I used the controller. There is the closest thing to aim assist is the fact that it would seem that if you're shooting at an enemy and maybe you're a little bit to the left of them, the bullets they'll still hit the thing, but you're not, there's no kind of snapping or anything of that nature. So if you're not able to at least get yourself within the general vicinity of an enemy when shooting, you're not going to hit them. And this is an early access game with only one episode currently in the game, and then a bonus episode that I'm not sure about the length of that one. But there isn't a lot there. And as good as the game looks, as good as it sounds, as pretty good as it feels, the weapons that you have currently, which are the weapons I've used, are your main melee starting weapon, which is this type of drill that you can use to drill up enemies up close, or it can, using its power that recharges on its own, initiate a type of audio shockwave that can disintegrate, not disintegrate, it can make enemies basically explode. Like it's so powerful that if you're right up on an enemy, it works the same as a shotgun would. But then in addition to that, you have an assault rifle and a shotgun. The assault rifle feels pretty alright. The shotgun is okay, but often, and I fall somewhat in this camp, your shooting is only as good as your shotgun, and I did not like using the shotgun all that much. It was a last resort weapon, except when fighting against these really big enemies who just charge at you and seem to take a lot of assault rifle bullets, but not that many shotgun blasts for whatever reason. It didn't seem like a one-to-one thing. It seemed very much so like the shotgun is meant for these enemies because they're so big, you're not going to miss them with your shotgun blast, and then the shotgun does significantly more damage seemingly to those than the assault rifle. But the weapons just weren't that satisfying. which then makes the gameplay itself not that satisfying. But more so than that, the level design was incredibly lacking. A lot of these games, for one, they often have secret areas where you can find something, and it's always rewarding when you discover these secrets. The secret areas in this game are fucking the laziest bullshit secret areas I've maybe ever experienced in a game like this, because they're not secret areas. The secret areas are the equivalent of, here are some tents, and you go in them. At one end of a tent, maybe behind two bushes, is an item. You go and pick it up, and it's like, secret area. It's just the fucking bushes, man. It's not a secret area. It's behind some bushes. That's not a secret area. That is not a secret area. And there are so many instances where the secret area is just, hey, here, or there are 3 doors. One of them's the secret area. Why? It's just so fucking stupid. But then the level design is kind of dull and not so much. It's somewhat more vertical in nature than a lot of classic shooters from the 90s, and you don't have a jump, which I understand as a staying true to shooters from that era. Because I also believe, I read somewhere, I'm not sure if I didn't look into it to confirm, that this is a development team made of a lot of original Doom modders, which kind of checks out. But as much as the lack of a jump feels true to the era they are milking, that they are clearly inspired by, it felt missing. It felt like it was something that should be there and wasn't. And that was something I eventually got used to, but I never liked the fact that I could not jump. It felt like it should be there, and it just wasn't there because, hey, the old games didn't have the jump, so we can't have the jump. You know what? You're not an old game. You can change things up in ways. So just do it. And then, more so than that, as dull as the level design is, and I would like to see some of that reworked. I don't expect that. The bigger problem is that the enemies suck. They are some of the most boring enemies. You think the level design was dull? The enemies are super fucking boring. You have your base marines or whatever who'll shoot at you, whoop-de-doo, and then you have this type of alien creature that'll shoot at you and glide at you, snap at you, so it can, from a distance, just snap right onto you and get up close. All right. You have these Langolier looking flying things that they spit acid, but they're whatever. And then those big kind of Minotaur looking dudes who just charge at you, and you pull out your shotgun, take them out pretty easily, and that's that. It's all very straightforward in terms of the way things work. Pick up armor, pick up health. You can go past your health with the small vials up to 250. The armor system is a little bit confusing because it seems like I don't know how the armor system works exactly, because you can have armor and still lose health while still having armor on you, but it's not that you're losing health because you're taking fire damage or something that would specifically negate armor. It's early access, so that's an important thing to keep in mind. I don't know what the time frame on it is. Let me check that. Let's go. Early access. Why early access? Holy shit. Supplice has been on and off development for about 14 years. My God. Maybe that shows why a lot of the design and stuff is or feels dated, because the game started development so freaking long ago. Approximately how long will this game be in early access? After the initial early access release limited to the first episode, the plan for the introduction of the following 5 episodes to keep a tight schedule with a new batch of content, a full new episode will launch every 2 to 3 months, leading to the release of the 6th and final episode, the full launch of the game, bringing us approximate Q2. Woo! They expect to be in early access until Q2 of 2024. And my hunch would be, when I see something like that, I say, all right, probably fall of 2024 then. And it's currently at $15. They say that when the game officially comes out, full release, it may go up, but no more than $20. Not $20 more, but $20 total. So you can jump in now or not if you want. On the first playthrough, the first episode Supplice takes 2.5 to 4.5 hours to beat on average, depending on the player's approach and selected difficulty level. I'd say that checks out. So, you know, if you're into early access and boomer shooters, you can give it a go, but I wasn't over. I had an okay time with it, but it didn't do anything to really wow me. And I think part of the problem too is that we have so many games like this now. It has become such a popular subgenre that you have a lot more competition in the market space. And Supplice is the kind of nice. I don't know. I was trying to find a subway to do a rhyme for the whole word Supplice and not just slice and nice. And kind of, and you saw what happened there. But that's it in terms of what I've been playing. So again, that's Supplice. PC only for now. Maybe when it nears its full release, it'll come to consoles as well. I don't know if that's even in the works or has been talked about. But yeah. So that will do it for this here episode of the Pixelated Sausage Show. Once again, I am Marcus Nez. Y'all can find me pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage, and all my links of import can be found over at pxsausage.com. That's the site, the YouTube, the Patreon, the art I make, streaming, all that jazz, pxsausage.com. And yeah, so as always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. So for now, adios, arrivederci, bye!